You're watching the Staten Island Soccer Report. And don't forget, Monday Live with your host, Giancarlo Duca.
You're watching the Staten Island Soccer Report.
Watching the Staten Island Soccer Report with John. Let's go get it.
Hey Spirit fans, thanks for the support. See you guys next week in Louisville.
Okay, welcome everyone to a brand new edition of the Staten Island Soccer Report, coming to you live today, not from the studios, but from an undisclosed location. Anyway, look who's with me. Look at this. Hold on a second. Let's get rid of this. Let's see if we can take this one out of here. Look who's with me. All right. Special edition, the NWSL Championship game. Tremendous game today for women's professional soccer. And I thought, we should definitely do a show, at least a 30-minute show, and talk about this game today, which is going to kick off in about 30 minutes. Hey, look who that is. Okay. So, Gabriella, welcome back to the show. I think it's been, like 20 years since you've been on. How many years has it been?
Couple years, I'll say.
You like going to take over the spot, co-hosting? And what happened? And you just ran.
Now.
Then you ran away. All right. So as you can see, we got one of the games in the background, and the Gotham who lost in the quarterfinal game, right? So Gabriel, let's first touch on your soccer. What's going on with you? And then we'll jump into this championship game.
Right, so I just finished my high school season about a month ago. Well, no, about a couple weeks ago. We lost in our quarterfinal.
I think it was the semifinal.
Semifinal. We lost in our semifinals, and we lost 2-1.
Right.
It was. We had the game. We had possession. We were dominating.
Right.
But we made a couple mistakes, and it ended up with two goals. So
What was the score?
2-1.
2-1. All right. Well, I think the most important part is experience, right? What kind of experience would you gain? What'd you take from it?
Well,
What'd you learn?
Yeah, I learned that finishing is just something that I think needed to work on.
Right.
Me too, especially since I'm kind of playing all over the place. But since I want to be a forward,
Well, that's a problem. Playing all over the place. I think to me it's a little bit of an issue. Meaning playing different positions.
Right, but I think everyone should be able to play any position.
Yeah, if needed. If needed. Meaning if a starter goes down and can't play, yeah, plug in, right? But not permanent. What's your natural position?
I'm a striker forward.
What's the position you played since day one? Since you started this beautiful game.
I've been playing defense, midfield.
No. What's your position since day one? Where have you been playing?
I've been playing up top.
Oh, right. So you're a striker. You're a natural striker. That's what your passion is. Am I right?
Yes.
Right. Is it playing keeper? No? Okay. So
I'd be a good keeper.
Well, you got the hype, but that doesn't mean you could be good. You got to put the work in also. All right, the same work that you put in for being a striker, you want to, you do it as a keeper. So, all right, so you guys lost in the semifinals once again. I thought I saw an article, like in the local paper, that this team cannot get over the semifinal hump, right, for whatever reason. So, but I blame, if it's the same story over and over, what are you going to do? You can't get rid of the whole team, can you? Right? Who goes first? When a team doesn't win and doesn't do well, what happens at the professional level?
Coaches gotta go.
Coaches go, right? That's the first move, but it is what it is. All right, so let's get into this game here. I see you got the paperwork for the Washington Spirit. Actually, you know what? Let's do a quick rundown, right? Let's do a rundown on the season they both had, right? Here's the standings. Just read off where they finished in the standings, and then we'll go through the playoffs. We'll do the playoffs that they played.
So Washington Spirit had 11 wins, 6.
The coaches, right? Yep. We've got one. That's the answer to the question we just spoke about, the coach.
Yes, the coach has got it.
Okay, so go ahead. Where did Washington finish in the standings and Chicago?
So Washington finished in 3rd place, and
Right.
Chicago finished in 4th place.
All right, so they've had pretty much, pretty consistent, I think, right? Washington, what was their record? Give out the records for
11
both.
wins, 7 losses.
Right.
Chicago has 11 wins as well, with
Okay.
8 losses.
Okay. All right, so I think they both had pretty good seasons, right? Obviously, we're fans of the. Hold on, let's take this. Let's take these. Let's just do this real quick. Obviously, we're fans of the Gotham, as you can see, right? Yeah, yours is on there somewhere. Right, you got your hat on, exactly. We were hoping that Carly Lloyd, and we could talk about her too, right? Would finish her career in this game that's going to start in a few minutes, but didn't work out that way. Mallory Pugh ended her career, right, a couple weeks ago off a turnover, right? They turned the ball over, and she knows exactly what to do when the team turns the ball over, right? And we don't even know right now if she's playing in this game because she missed last week with the COVID protocol, they called it, right? The COVID protocol. Okay, so if she's not, I mean, obviously they proved last week that they can play without her, right? But if she's in, that just makes them even more dangerous, right? If she's in the starting lineup tonight. So, yeah, this game behind us looks like it's ending. So what are your thoughts on the game today? Let's get right into that.
Well, I'm expecting an interesting game from Washington Spirit, considering they have forward Trinity Rodman, who was named 2021 NWSL Rookie of the Year.
Right.
They also have Aubrey Bledsoe, named 2021 NWSL Goalie of the Year.
Right.
So I'm expecting a good game, interesting game from them, and I think it's going to be tight. From
What's Rodman's background? I think we
She has a relation to Dennis Rodman.
well, what's the relationship?
Father. That's her father.
Right. Dennis Rodman is her dad, right? Exactly. And we all know, I mean, most people should know Dennis Rodman, right, from his basketball days with Chicago. And, I mean, he's got, like, we spoke about this off the camera, he's got the passion. He had passion when he played this game, so I'm sure his daughter has the same, right?
Yes.
So let's go over how both teams got here today. All right, we'll start with, here's some of the scores. You could go through them. The first round, let's break it down.
First round, Chicago win against our New York, New Jersey Gotham.
All right.
And we got Washington beating Carolina 1-0 as well.
Now you've been to a lot of games, right? And I think we've seen Chicago a few times. Well, what'd you think about their play? They also have another player, DiBernardo, okay? And her dad played on the New York Cosmos. So, I mean, they don't talk much about her because Pugh is, quote unquote, the star of that team. So, what'd you think about when you seen Chicago in person? And we've seen them a few times.
Well, I just remember Pugh taking charge,
Right.
And although, the team is good with her, I think they're saying they're great even without her. But I think she does add, she adds something to the team that they need. So.
Okay, let's see if there should be another matchup going on in the background. But, all right, so what was your, thoughts on the whole, the games that you've gone to? Like, what'd you take out of, and you went to how many games?
A lot.
A few, all right. What'd you take out of going to those games? What did you see, from the women playing?
I mean, they worked hard to get there, so that's inspiring for me, especially since Like I've been looking up to the U.S. women's national team for a while,
Right.
and actually
Speak into the mic so they can hear you.
seeing them, play in person is like just really. I think it was really cool to see them play in person.
Yeah, I think I always said let's get there early so we can watch the pregame and the warm-ups, right? So you can, again, watching soccer I think is it's important, right? It's also important, just not as important as you're practicing, but it's important. So what'd you pick up during, watching their warm-ups and stuff?
Well, I see that. Okay, stretching is obviously really important. Make sure you don't pull anything or anything like that. Getting ready before, like a lot of the exercises that they do, I would have never imagined doing before a game.
Yeah.
But now I know.
So working out, I mean, excuse me, exercise, stretching. We all know it's very important before a game. Did you see anything at these games that you would use when you play?
So since I'm a forward, but I can play anywhere. I'd like to play anywhere, but my favorite position is obviously playing forward.
Right.
But I noticed that, like midfield, even defense, like you can have an attacking. You can have an attacking midfield, you can have an attacking defender. So that's something I picked up.
Okay. Well, playing for the Strikers, you're going to be strictly a striker, and that's why we named the team Strikers, right? Because you're a striker. So getting back, which we're going to start that tomorrow. That's the Strikers are back officially as of tomorrow, and you're going to get back to doing what you love, and that's scoring goals and playing up top. But not only playing up top, right? As a striker, you do come back and defend on what? Let's see, right, corners and any kind of free kicks and stuff like that. You don't just hang up in the circle up top there, right? If Ronaldo could do it, you could do it, right? We've seen that in the past. So, all right. So Chicago beats the Gotham in the first round. Washington took care of Carolina. Both scores 1-0, right? Second round. What do we got in the second round? You could go over that.
Second round, we have a Washington win against the OL Reign. The score is 2-1. And we have Chicago win against Portland 2-0.
Right. OL Reign. Now, let's talk about the second round because I thought it was interesting, and we watched the games last week together, and you were rooting for one person.
Who was it?
Who's your favorite player in the league? Who's one player?
In the NWSL?
Right.
I don't have a favorite. I have a couple.
All right, so name a couple of players that you like.
Well, from the national team or?
No, just name players that you like in this league, NWSL.
This league.
Right.
On Gotham, Caprice Didasco.
Didasco?
Yeah.
I think she was Defender of the Year.
Defender.
Right. Yeah, I think she won that.
Yeah.
All right.
She's someone that she's an example of an attacking defender who goes all the way up, back up and down the sideline.
Right.
So.
Anyone else?
Lloyd, she had her last game a couple weeks ago,
Right.
but she'll always be a favorite.
Well, now that you brought up Lloyd, we met Lloyd, right? You spoke to her. She's right. I actually asked a couple of questions. You were right there with her. You got a video. She signed your. Yeah, right. So you got her signatures and all that. What do you think about Lloyd and how she plays the game? And you've seen her the last few weeks, the way she reacted, right?
Yeah, I think obviously, honestly, I think by the looks of it, she no one wants to retire from soccer. No one wants that. But
Tell me about it.
After I think what she's done, I think she's proved herself and what
Right.
she can do, and I think that they're just up and coming like younger players who are just, taking her spot, and it's hard to say
Right.
to be able to take her Lloyd's spot, but I think that's what's happening, and I think she's frustrated with that, and you can tell by the way she plays. But I think she had a good career.
Yeah, I think she had a great career. I think it was.
Pretty. Yeah.
What's a standout? What's one thing that stands out when you think of Carly Lloyd? What comes to mind right away? When you just say the name, Carly Lloyd, what comes to mind?
Her goal from
from half field when she scored in the World Cup in half field. Yeah, I think the same thing. Well, for me,
I remember watching that. That was crazy.
for me, when you mention her name, I think determination, right? She's determined every single minute, I think, of the game. And I think a lot of players at your level, I don't think understand that. I mean, you can't just walk onto we'll call it the pitch, because everyone likes to call it the pitch, right? We'll call it the pitch. Once you step onto the pitch, I mean, really, you got to give it 100% for every second that you're on there. You can't just slack. Once you do that, I think you're defeated a little bit. So it's very important to remember that, especially going into our last season. Okay, as father and daughter, right? This is going to be it for us, and we want to definitely go out. Yeah, with being a winner, winning that group that we're in, and winning as much as possible, because we all know, and anyone that followed our team knows that we were on the short end of the stick a lot. So yeah, all right. So that's definitely important. You got to remember that once you step on to that pitch, 100%, until you're on the bench again.
I'm feeling confident in our season this year. I think that if everyone puts in, everyone gives it their all, I think we're gonna have a good season.
Well, it's dedication, commitment. It's definitely commitment also. Tremendous, all right? You got to put commitment into it. All right, so let's get back now to round 2. OL Reign. Now, they got a bunch of star players on the team. Why didn't they beat Washington? Washington has nothing as far as, quote, the big name players. OL Reign is loaded with national team players from around the world.
Well, I don't think it's about the big name players. I think it's about the young and upcoming ones.
Right. Where'd you get that from? Where did you get that from? Where'd you hear that from?
I don't know, my brain is just...
Okay, so who's your favorite? Who's one of your favorites with was it the purple hair? What's her name again?
Rapinoe.
Now, I was telling you that Rapinoe's days, I mean, pretty much, they're done, I believe, with the national team. They should be done with the national team. Only
It's not
because,
done yet.
well, I don't know if I've seen an announcement about that, but it should be done only because we have so much talent coming up, and you got to give those players, the younger players, a chance. You can't keep going to the, to the well here with the older players. And even Morgan, Alex Morgan's days are, I hate to say they're numbered, but they probably are, numbered, meaning that her career is coming to an end. It's on the downside now, okay, because she already reached the top. Now she's coming down with it. Actually, you saw what happened with Lloyd, right, coming off the bench a lot, right? It's probably going to be the same thing with Morgan coming up soon with the national team, at least. With the club teams, it's different. They'll play, until maybe the late 30s, right? If I'm not mistaken, Martha, right? The Brazilian. I think she's up there. She may be, I might be wrong, but she may be close to 40, if not 40. Okay? So, anyhow, OL Reign beating Washington. Little technical difficulties there. Right? Beating Washington, and again, with all the star power that they had, they couldn't get it done. They lost 2-1. Second game last weekend, Portland and Chicago. Same thing with Portland. Loaded with all these veterans. We'll call them veteran players. We don't want to call them old, right? We don't want to say old because they're not old. What's old anyway? We don't know what old. So a bunch of veterans on Portland, and they couldn't get the job done, and they were shut out at home. And Portland was the best team, and they ran away with the season, right? Regular season. They were first place. They won the Supporters' Shield, right? Meaning for the best regular season. And what's your thoughts on that? Again, another team.
Right. Well, I think that I don't know. I think that it just proves that the young players are, making names for themselves, and you don't need the veterans.
Well, no, not that you don't need the veterans. I think that it proves when you got a team like Portland, and if anyone knows their roster, they're loaded with veteran players, experienced players, great players, right? Right, all those things. it just proves when they lose that you can't just show up onto the field. You can't just show up and say, put the shirt on and walk onto the field. You're going to win. It doesn't work that way because you don't know what the other team is going to bring, right? And the passion and grit that they have. So I think that's basically what it came down to. I don't think it was an age, being older players. I just thought Chicago, and without their best player, Mallory Pugh, last week, beat Portland in Portland. Unheard of. I don't think anyone expected that except for the Chicago fans. I didn't expect. I was hoping for it, didn't expect it, and actually glad it happened this way. We could get now that you got the two best teams all season out with their veteran players. They're out of this game today. Now we get to see the younger players. We get to see what they could do in a big spot championship game. Right? What are your thoughts on that? On just the changing of the guard, I guess you could call it. The changing of the guard in women's soccer.
I agree, and I think it's prone to happen. The athletes coming out of college this is exactly what they're trying to do. They're trying to get here, get to the NWSL, make a name for themselves, and push out all the veterans, take their spots.
Well, yeah, in a respectful way. You don't. Listen. You do it in a respectful way. If a player's up and coming and is better than a veteran, and it's time to just say, maybe either your retirement or you take a part-time role. Right, being on the bench at the pro level is not the worst thing in the world. Right.
Well, it's not the worst thing in the world, but it depends on your mindset.
Right, it's not the worst.
You obviously don't want to be on the bench no matter what game it is. You want to be playing.
Okay, all right, you got a point there, Miss Smarty. Okay, so good point, but you know that you're going to be used a lot more at the professional level when you ride that bench than you do it at any other level, I think. And I think you were, you experienced that this past season. All right, and there's a lot. And next weekend we got the draft, so we'll know what college players are coming up, and we'll watch that. And maybe we'll even do next weekend. We could even probably do if you're around. I don't know if you're going to be around or not. You might be on vacation. So we could do like a draft preview. We'll look to see who's coming in, who's coming up, and who's going to be drafted where, and hopefully the Gotham make a great selection. All right, so top two teams we spoke about. We're 22 minutes into this show. All right, championship pregame show, and top two teams out. Now that leaves us with Washington and Chicago, right, in the final. And I have the head-to-head meetings between the two teams this past season. All right, and you could let us know what that is.
Head-to-head, we got Rodman.
No, you got Chicago winning 2 games and tying 1.
Oh, right.
Right, it's right there. So yeah, Rodman scored 2 goals in the 3 games that they played. And also she scored in the semifinal game.
Right, she did.
Right, so she's a clutch player, I think.
Yeah, she just keeps on, proving that her position, and she's just, making a name for herself.
Right. So, and I believe she played on the maybe 17 national team. So I guarantee you.
She was called up to the national team, wasn't she?
I don't know if she was called up this time around, but let's just check. No, I don't think she was called up yet, but I guarantee you, if she scores anything in this game, any goals in this game today, she'll be called up. I think she should be called up anyway for them to take a look at.
Not even if she scores, if she's making plays, if she's, putting in the work. Although I believe she's going to score. I think she can, put something together. And I think she's going to get called up too. I think there's definitely a lot of people watching her.
Yeah. So she should definitely get her chance on the national team. And I think she belongs on it anyway. I mean, I've seen enough from her. You didn't know what I was talking about when I mentioned her. Let me see if I can lower this background stuff in. Yeah, you didn't know what I was talking about when I mentioned her, right? Until you actually seen her play and obviously score. You've seen her score some goals. So absolutely, she should be on the national team. So head-to-head, Chicago hasn't lost to Washington, but that means nothing today, right? I think both teams are rolling, and they're. I mean, it's gonna be a great game. We'll do our predictions in about 5 minutes or so, right before we end this show. We'll give our predictions and our score, the score of the game, right, and the team that you think is gonna win. So, where is the game being played today? Do you remember?
The game is being played. I forgot the name.
Louisville,
Right.
Kentucky.
So we were trying to go to.
Right, we were trying to get there, but unfortunately, it didn't work out that way. So we're doing a show from New York City. The great New York City.
Yeah.
And you know what? I wish they would bring that game to this area at some point. Maybe whenever the next. I don't think it's going to be next year, but it'd be great. I mean, mid-November, the weather's still good. We could get some snow, but you know what? Put some gloves on and layer up, right? And play the game, right?
Yeah.
So, all right. Let's take the show
we
today.
played in the pouring rain, we played in cold.
Yeah, I mean, you could play. The thing is, you don't know if we're going to get a snowstorm around this time. Hopefully, we don't. But that's the only thing that would probably impact the game, and maybe the reason why they don't have it in this area. So, the game is being played on Channel 2, New York City local area, right? Channel 2, and
Eastern time.
right, 12 o'clock, which is in a few minutes. But you know what? I mean, this day is full of soccer. You got the NWSL Championship, and then you got the MLS starting its playoffs. So Channel 2, CBS is going to carry the game, 12 o'clock Eastern time. What else, Gabriella? Anything else you want to add before we sign off? We got about 5 minutes.
I think I'm looking forward to the game. I think it's going to be interesting, and I think they all worked hard for their spot. So obviously, whoever works their hardest today deserves that first place.
Okay, that championship. Right. So, all right, let's get to our picks today and why. Okay, so we'll start with you. Who do you think is going to win today's game? And give us a score.
Right, considering all the stats, all the facts, I think I'm confident in Washington. And if I were to guess the score, I would say I think it's going to be a tight game, so maybe like 2-1 or 3-2 or maybe 1-0. But you know what? I'd go with 2-1.
2-1. So Gabriella's pick for today's game is
I
Washington.
think it's going to be a tight game.
Washington 2-1. Who scores the goals?
Oh,
Well,
we got Rodman.
right.
Who knows? She can score both goals. But I can
Probably
see her
can.
scoring one goal. I can see her scoring one.
Rodman's got at least one goal today. And you don't know where the other one's coming from.
No.
It could be anyone else. Okay, fine. So, you know what? I just can't go with Mallory Pugh, Chicago Red Star, because they knocked out the Gotham. So I got to agree with you and go with Washington.
That's why? That's your reason?
Yeah, I can't. I told her that day, when we spoke to Pugh, not today. You're not scoring today, and she did. So yeah, no, I'm going to pick, boy, it's tough. I mean, it's tough going against Chicago because of her. And DiBernardo, and you got some other great players on that team too. So, but that being said, I'm going to pick Chicago. Yeah, I'm going to go with Chicago, and I'm going to go with a score line of 3-2. All right, just to go against you. This way we don't pick the same. So I'll take Chicago, and it's going to be a 3-2 Chicago win. But although I hope Rodman does play a great game, because I think she's one of the up-and-coming stars for women's soccer. And I think it's going to be a great game. All right. Any last thoughts before we go?
No, I think we got it all.
What about your playing days? I mean, What do you look
Hopefully-
forward to do personally before we sign off? What do you look to do this upcoming season? Any goals?
Obviously,
Yeah.
that's my job. as
Any
a
personal
forward.
goals? Anything
personal goals.
personal that you want to do? This
Honestly, this season I'm just gonna focus on
It's 12 o'clock.
further improving my skills and preparing for college soccer, which is something that I've been looking forward to for a really long time. So.
Very good. Excellent. Well said. Okay, everyone. Thank you again for watching the Staten Island Soccer Report. We got to get to the game. Not this game behind us, but we got to get to the championship game, which should be starting any minute now.
Mhm.
All right. We'll see you guys next time.
Bye.
Ciao.